Let's start with a word of prayer. Thank you for coming to our soccer preseason meeting. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to enjoy soccer this spring. We pray for good weather. We pray for coaches and parents and kids to have a good experience with all that's involved in that. And we just thank you that we get to represent you as we play sports this spring. Thank you for Grand Rapids Christian and the chance that we have to, play sports in community, go to school together, and enjoy each other's company around our neighborhoods. And we're just grateful for everyone here. Help us to have a great spring season and put a special measure of grace and patience on our coaches and parents with all of the busy schedules and the crazy weather and all the things that we will encounter in the spring. Bless our time tonight. In your name we pray. Amen. Well, thank you so much for being here today. As always, I like to just remind everybody our goal at Grcms Christian Athletics is to provide opportunities for kids to grow, to learn skills, to be a part of a team, to have competitions, to do all of that with success while they fail, while they, find some good things that happen and they also run into some bad things that happen. It's all part of a rich and good experience. And so we're grateful for the opportunity to be able to provide athletics where everyone can be involved and do those things and have all of those good and bad feelings and experiences as part of sports. And that's our goal is to give that opportunity to kids and families as they learn about themselves and the gifts that God has given them. And so with soccer this year, we're excited to have three fifth and sixth grade girls teams, which is very cool. We had some people step up to coach. Big thanks to Debbie Weststraight, Stapert, and to Brad Veldkamp and Nate Verhule for stepping into our 5-6 program to lead. They're all very qualified coaches that are going to do an excellent job communicating and also serving your daughters and your families this spring. So we're really grateful for that. We're going to have two teams in our seventh and eighth grade level. And I can't say exactly how we're going to split that yet. We kind of have to figure out like who has club soccer responsibilities that could cause some issues. Because if we have too many of those, we may have to just split all those kids up and do like seventh and eighth combined and kind of split it up a little bit. But if we don't have any conflicts, we may do like an eighth grade and a seventh grade and let the kids play in their grade level. So we'll just have to see how it works out. The coaches and I will be discussing that throughout the formation week to see kind of what that is. And if you're a parent of a seventh and eighth grade girl, please make sure when coach emails you this week or early next week that you respond with, hey, my daughter plays on this travel team. They practice on these days and have games on these days. Let us know that ahead of time so we can make the best decision possible for how to form our teams in seventh and eighth grade. In fifth and sixth grade, we're going to have about 10 people on a team, which is great, but at the same time, it's a little tight. We need you to show up all the time, okay? Because we play 8v8 soccer in our league. And if we're missing a person or two, it gets tight quickly, right? Like playing time is not going to be a problem. Some of you might complain your child plays too much, which is I have had that before. And so like it is interesting, but make sure that your child is there. We need them to be committed and there. So make sure you communicate that to the coaches too. We have one coach who needs to do later practice time. So if that's something your family needs, you need to let the coaches know that. If you need to have an early practice time because you have a club thing in the evenings, make sure you let our coaches know that in 5-6 so that we can figure out how to best serve your family. So that's kind of team formation. We need some help from you. And also the coaches then, once they have that help from you, can start to form the teams as best as they can. The formation will begin the week of March 16, and your coach will send out. So you can look for Debbie Westray Staber to send something out, early next week or this weekend with just some initial info, and then a reminder again, kind of that weekend before we start on the week of the 16th. And Liz Williams will be sending out information for the seventh and eighth grade group, early next week or this weekend, and then obviously the weekend before as a reminder of what's going to happen. So formation is that week. We're solidifying dates and times for that formation, and that information will get out to you a couple of times prior. So just respond to those emails with, any conflicts or potential club sports issues that you may have so we can do that well. Okay. Any questions about team formation? Okay. Um, as far as practice is concerned, the fifth and sixth graders will typically practice at Grcms Christian Middle School each day. So if you have a 3 o'clock practice, the kids can just stay right after school, pack them a snack, pack their clothes in an extra bag, and then go right out to practice behind the school there. Seventh and eighth grade will practice usually later, like a 5 o'clock start. And then I think on Thursdays, we're going to try to do a 3 p.m. start on Thursdays. So seventh and eighth grade is going to practice together all the time as humanly possible. As long as like one of the teams is not playing, we're going to have all 24 girls together practicing with our three coaches, which is going to be fantastic. We've got a good ratio of experienced coaches to players. We can mix the seventh and eighth graders up throughout the practices as much as we need to. And so they'll all practice together, usually late, except Thursdays has the potential to be at 3 p.m. on Thursdays. So we may try to take that. And on those 3 p.m. days, they'll walk together from the school down the sidewalk, use the crossing guard at Plymouth, use the crossing guard over Burton, and then they will walk to Evergreen School there behind IHM, and that's where they will practice. Those 5 o'clock practice starts will also be at Evergreen, but the kids cannot stay after school. Same thing with fifth and sixth grade. If you have a 5 or a 5:30 start with your coach for a practice, they need to go home and then be brought back. We don't have any way to watch them after school, and so they have to go home or go to a friend's house and then be brought back for those later practices. Any questions from anyone about where they practice or what they do with the later and early practice and that sort of thing?
What days are you thinking that the fifth and sixth graders will practice?
It kind of depends on the coach. So like one of the things that I know is I have to make sure that I bend a practice schedule to when the coach can be available. And so, depending on which of the three coaches you have, will change the days, you know? So, Joel, I'm sorry I can't give you like a more specific answer today. The games in fifth and sixth grade for our league are typically played on either Tuesday or Thursday, and rarely on a Saturday, but often a Tuesday or a Thursday. And you may have two games in a week, you may have one. So I can't say like every Tuesday and every Thursday, like there's a little bit of like variability to that. So what we're gonna do is be able to have a first 2 week schedule for you. That's going to have the team formation week, and then the first week after that is going to be set, and the coaches will deliver that to you in short order. And then once the teams are made and the schedules are put into TeamSnap, then I'm able to help them plan out the practices for the rest of the season. So we kind of are at like we're waiting on team formation and we're waiting on the game schedule from the league. So once we get those, then we can pretty much set your schedule, and we try to keep it as consistent as we can. Does that help, Joel? He's muted, so
Yeah,
hopefully, yes.
yeah, it does. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you had any idea. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. There's just a couple too many variables to know for sure. So we'll get that to you as soon as we can. The practice schedules will come from your coaches. And so once the team formation is done, like before team formation is done, one coach will email the entire 5-6 group, and one coach will email the entire seventh and eighth group. So your responses will go to that coach. But once team formation is done, your individual coach will become your main hub for communication. You'll be added to their TeamSnap page for your specific team, and you'll be able to follow that specific schedule. So all of your questions will go right to that coach. You can respond to those emails that come to you, and your schedules will be all on that one TeamSnap page. So you'll kind of work with your coach once team formation is done. Same thing with game schedules. Those will be loaded right on there for you. And we should have most of that completed for you as long as the league gets it to us before you're loaded onto TeamSnap. So in the next couple of weeks, those schedules should be done from the league. So we should be in good shape with those schedules, but it'll all be through TeamSnap once teams are formed. We will play kind of in our Graciac League, which is 8v8. The goal that we have is we're going to get about 8 games for each team in 5-6 and 8 games for each team in 7-8. And then my hope is to try to find two 11v11 games for our eighth grade girls to be able to play some 11v11. We can't host those because we don't have an available 11v11 field, but I'm going to try to get us to be able to go visit a school that will have an 11v11 field and we can get a little bit of that going too. Because I know that's what we do in high school, and our league doesn't have fields for that. So that's why we do 8v8. But we're going to try to get those eighth grade girls, even if we split equally amongst the two teams, we're going to try to have the eighth graders come together for at least one or two 11v11 games. So as an eighth grade parent, that's kind of a cool thing that we're going to attempt to do that with some of our neighboring schools. We'll see if we can make that happen. Playing time in soccer, it won't be equal necessarily. The coaches will do their best to make sure that kids get plenty of minutes. The league rule is 15 minutes out of the 60-minute game. Every player must play. In 5-6, they're going to play a lot more than that because we only have, 8, 9, or 10 kids per match. They're going to play till their heart's content. On our 7-8 teams, we potentially will have 12 to 13 kids per team. And so, yeah, again, there's going to be a lot of playing time available. I don't think we're going to have a lot of issues with, um, you know, low playing time for someone. There's going to be lots of opportunities for kids to participate, and our coaches are very conscious of making sure kids get an opportunity to play and experience competition in soccer. So that is kind of the letter of the law, which is 15 minutes, but I believe it will be much more than that for each of the kids in each game. So that's a good thing. Any questions so far about games or schedules, our league, or playing time? Okay. Um,
Kevin, do you have a rough estimate of it starts March 16, and then you said there's 8 games, rough estimate of when it ends in terms of coordinating the schedule?
Likely it will be done the May 16, that Saturday.
Okay, perfect.
Now, if they
Great.
offer a tournament, we may choose to participate in that, which would probably be the week after that, but we might not. A lot of times it just kind of depends like what our parents and kids and stuff are feeling like, because
Yeah,
it's pretty cramped at the end of that year. So we'll kind of work with the coaches on if we're going to do that in seventh and eighth grade or fifth and sixth grade or not. But I believe that the end time will be right around May 16, May 23 at the very latest.
great. Thank you.
Mhm. Great question. Spectators, there shouldn't be any gate fees at any of the events you attend, so you won't need to have money or a card available. You just come in and kind of plop down on the grass, or if they happen to have bleachers, that's great. So enjoy that. Be a good spectator. We have officials who are guaranteed to be imperfect and do things that you don't think is correct, and so just honor them. There aren't a lot of officials out there. And we want to make sure that when they visit Grand Rapids Christian or when Grand Rapids Christian's involved in a game, that they feel like they're cared for and appreciated. Whether they're the worst official in the world or the best really shouldn't matter to how we treat them. And so my encouragement to you is go out of your way to thank an official for officiating today. They remember that stuff. We get emails about that when, hey, you had two parents come up to me and just say thanks for being here, and it meant a lot. So thank you. Like those things go a long way, and I don't know that it'll ever change that referee to become the greatest Christian in the world or something like that, but I know it changes our hearts when we're focused on trying to make a positive impact on others. And so make sure that when you go to a game, you're trying to make a positive impact on the players that we're cheering for and the coaches that we're supporting, and that we're trying to make a positive impact on the officials who are there that day. And when we do that and we turn our hearts that way, I know it changes us. And hopefully it puts Christ on display in a way that changes other people too. So thanks for considering that in the process. As you work with your coach, we are blessed to have some experienced coaches helping us out. We have two Kelvin soccer players that just have recently graduated, and a player who played on very high level teams at Forest Hills Northern over the years, coaching our seventh and eighth grade girls. Like we were very blessed to have very experienced coaches and players up there. And then our 5-6 levels, we have people that have coached and played at high levels as well. So we're blessed. Like not every school is that lucky, and we are. As I said in my email earlier this year, some of our best coaches are parents who step up or people in your network that you know love kids. And all of these coaches have come from recommendations from you guys and people in our network of like, these will be great people to lead us. And they're right. Like, we're very lucky. So please trust them, give them the benefit of the doubt. They're going to make some mistakes, or they're going to make choices that you don't necessarily agree with all the time. Agreement is not as important as alignment. And what we can all be aligned on is that these coaches are here to love your kid, to serve you and their family. And we can also agree and be aligned that we're not always going to agree on everything, and that's okay. We don't have to be perfectly agreed upon to respect each other, care for each other, and give each other the benefit of the doubt. And so just be grateful, have an attitude of gratitude for the time and energy these people are putting into this season. And now is a great time too to work with your child at the end of this year. They've had a year of growth in middle school on those challenging things. If they try to blame people or blame officials or blame this kid or that kid, just remind them in the car, hey, like, we don't need to go about blaming people. Like, there's a lot we can do on our side of the river here to make sure that we're doing a good job. Kind of direct them even as they're young towards, what can we do? How can we control the things that we're allowed to control and do those things better? So that's what the coaches are trying to do, and partner with them in that process. So that's kind of the basics of what we had to talk about for soccer. As far as equipment is concerned, it's good to have cleats, molded cleat bottoms. They can't have a spike on the toe. That's kind of a distinction for soccer cleats. Uh, you'll need shin guards. It's required. Is there anything else, Bree, that you can think of equipment wise that is going to be important for people to remember to have as they start the season?
Did you say soccer socks?
Soccer socks, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was a big one last year, I know. But other than that, I feel
So
like you
people
covered
had
it.
shin guards, but they didn't have the right kind of socks to cover it all
Yeah,
up.
so they just kind of stick them on their shins without soccer socks. But
Yeah.
I mean, you do you, but I would prefer some soccer socks. So
Yeah, it's good to be in proper uniform, right? So if soccer socks are a little different, make sure that consider getting some of those off Amazon or whatever. They're pretty cheap, but they are definitely a certain type of sock. And also, I'm going to encourage you to make sure your child has layers to play in. We will play in cold weather. We will play in damp weather. We will play in rain, because none of those things stop soccer from being played. Obviously, if there's lightning, that's different, or the field is flooded, that's different. But cold and rain are still playable. Um, and so make sure that they have layers, and they have raincoats to play in, and sweatshirt to wear and that sort of thing. Because being cold for an hour and a half is no good. Make sure that they're equipped for that. And also that they should expect to play in some of those elements that we experience here in Michigan in the spring. Anything else or questions that people have, or something you wonder about?
Hey Kevin, can you hear this?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, Felicity's doing track too. Do you know the schedule of track practices and how that would go along? I'm figuring she can kind of show up when she wants to that. Soccer is going to be her first priority, but do you have a rundown?
Thank you for bringing that up. There are people that do multiple things in the spring, and we did talk about kind of warning coaches about that for our team formation, but this is a little more specific. And so it's a great point. So track is something where, like, I talked to Coach Paul Ryan about this, and he's like, if they're playing soccer, we're not worried about them showing up for track as much, um, because they're going to be running and being active all the time too. And so if there's a day where you don't have soccer practice and you can attend track, that's great. Please do that if you're going to be on both teams. The distance runners in track will run every day, Monday through Thursday. So if your daughter is a distance runner and is also doing track, that will happen, Monday through Thursday right after school. It meets at the middle school. If your daughter is a sprinter or a field event person, we're probably going to have 1 to 2 days a week, which would be Tuesday for sure for fifth and sixth graders, and Wednesday, Thursday for sure for seventh and eighth graders. You might wonder why we don't have everybody just go every day. Well, we have 110 kids running track, and we only have 7 coaches that have stepped up to help right now. So we can't have 110 people at practice every day when we only have 7 coaches. So we're looking to hire more coaches for that. But because of that, once we solidify our staff, we'll be able to give you more information. And if you're involved in track, you'll have a meeting with Coach Ryan and I about that. That kind of tells you the nuances of it. So you know how to work that in with your soccer. So does that help? Okay. Thanks for bringing that up. Any other questions or concerns? Okay, well, we're going to get you out of here in 22 minutes. Fantastic. My goal was to never go over 25 minutes for any of these meetings this spring, and I'm 4 for 4. So I'm fired up about that. So you guys have a great